A big hello, grade 3. Welcome back to your lesson for today, which is maths, and it's so good that I can sneak into your house and we can do maths together on your computer, and you can come to my classroom in my house. So it's great to have you. Right, and here, of course, it's WorksheetCloud, and there's the email address if you want to get hold of me and ask any questions about this particular lesson. As I said, maths today, and it's word problems. And you might go, eek, I hate word problems, get them away from me. I used to hate them at school. I used to get confused with the numbers sometimes and the words and what do they want me to do, and until I learned a few strategies quite young, and used them ever since. So I'm going to share these with you, and I use them with my classes as well. Right, we're going to just look at a couple of things, guys, that we do wrong, all of us, and when it comes to problem solving, and that's why the numbers look all jumbled up like that. And we're going to get that sorted out. Sometimes we don't read the problem properly, so we rush into grab hold of the numbers and we don't read the whole problem properly. And I'm going to give you two examples of a very similar problem. In fact, it's almost identical problem, and you're going to see just how the question at the end just changes the whole problem. So let's quickly read through these. The first one says, Ben picked 67 bananas in the morning and 79 bananas in the afternoon. How many bananas did he pick? Well, it's a total altogether. We know he picked in two different times. The 67 before lunch, 79 after lunch, and if we add them up together, we'll get the total. It's a simple addition sum. Now look at the next one. This is just to show you how wording and the questions can change the whole concept of how you solve this problem. Ben picked 67 bananas in the morning, 79 bananas in the afternoon. How many bananas does he pick before lunch? Okay, so the question is totally and utterly different. We need to see that. So this question here is how many bananas does he pick in total, and this one just says, well, how many bananas does he pick before lunch, which is 67, which is a completely different answer compared with this one, which would be 67 plus 79. So you've got to read things really carefully, okay, guys? Reading is hugely important in everything we do. Sometimes we don't understand what the question is asking us to do, so we have to learn certain different things to help us understand that. Let's look at this one. Sarah wanted to pick 20 flowers from her garden. She picked 5 pink flowers and 6 yellow flowers. How many more flowers does she still have to pick? So there we go. We've got 3 numbers. What do we do with these numbers? All right, so let's have a look here. Let's highlight the question first. So the question is hugely important. If we don't know the question, we don't know what we have to solve. How many more flowers does she still have to pick? So we know that she wants to pick 20 flowers in total. What has she only picked though? She has only picked 5 pink and 6 yellow. So she has picked 11 altogether. How many more does she still have to pick? Well, now we know we've got what do we know and what do we still have to find out. Well, she hasn't yet picked enough, has she? So that would be, we'd have to find the difference between 11 and 20. And of course the difference is 9. And then I'd ask my class to write a sentence which would be like this. Sarah has to pick 9 more flowers until she has enough, until she has 20. We don't always decide what we already know when we read something and what we still need to find out. So that's important. Let's look at this one now. Seepaw was bird watching with his grandfather and they saw 25 birds. Right, so that tells you they saw 25 birds in total. They spotted 6 birds in a tree and they spotted 7 birds on a fence. They saw the rest of the birds on the ground. How many birds did they see on the ground? What's the question? Hugely important. It's how many birds were on the ground. So we know that they saw 25 birds. That 6 were in the tree and 7 were on a fence. So that means 6 plus 7, that's a total of 13 that they saw in a tree or on a fence. But the question is this: how many birds did they see on the ground? Well, it says in this story sum that the rest of the birds they saw were on the ground, right? So 25 is what they saw altogether. They saw 13 in a tree and on the fence. So 25 minus 13 will give me the difference between the two. And the answer is 12. So you would write your sentence that says 25 minus 13 is 12. So there were 6 birds in the tree. There were 7 birds on the fence, and the rest were on the ground. There were 12 birds on the ground. See how we tackle this. I draw over my word problem because I've got to decide, what do I know already? What have they told me? And what do I still have to find out? And once I kind of got to that level, I can start to attempt to problem solve, guys. We often guess how to solve a problem. How many times have you been in a situation like that? Not just maths, but there's a question to answer, and you kind of think to yourself, I actually have no idea what to do. I'm just going to guess and hope that it comes right. And that doesn't make us feel good about what we're doing. So let's get rid of the things that trip us up when we solve word problems. Okay, and I'm going to give you some little hints as we go along. I want you to look in on these where I say read carefully and underline the question. Secondly, decide after you've read, what do we know? What have we been told? And what do we still need to find out? We need to circle the numbers, highlight some keywords if there are, and then you're going to write a sentence of your own explaining your answer. Okay, let's head on forward. So let's read the question. James and Petro were both reading books. James is 65 pages through his book, and Petro is 95 pages through her book. How many more pages has Petro read? So what do we know already, grade 3s? Well, before we have to answer that question, let's not forget to highlight the question. How many more pages has Petro read? Okay, so there's a keyword, more. Petro has read more pages, so obviously we can see that from the numbers. Now we're circling our numbers. What do we need to find out? How much more did she read than James? So I'm going to write my sum. I'm going to say, right, I need to find the difference. And difference means subtract. 95 minus 65 equals, okay, now I'm going to use lock and split. Now remember, if you go back to some of the lessons I did, one of the lessons I did before was on subtraction methods. I'm going to do lock and split, which is 95 is locked together, and we split 60 and 5. Let's go. 95, we're going to do it in 2 steps. Minus 60, what is that? 35. We have now subtracted the 60. Remember that place value, the 6 in the tens column stands not for 6 but for 60. Now we've got one more step to do and say, that's no good, 35 minus what? 5, because we haven't done that yet, is 30. So Petro has read 30 more pages than James. And once again, notice how I highlighted, I circled, and I kind of put things into little pockets in my mind so that I could actually deal with all these questions. Here's another one. Sunita was having a birthday party and she bought 12 balloons at the shop. Then her dad came home with 9 more balloons. Sadly, 5 balloons popped. How many balloons did Sunita have left? Now, I want to show you something here. I've added this hint in, grade 3s, because we learn very much better when we can see things in front of us. So we learn visually with our eyes and our minds combined together. So once again, we're going to do the same things. Read and underline the question. What do you know? What do you still need to find out? Highlight the numbers and the keywords, and then draw if need be. So step number 1, we're going to highlight the question. How many balloons did Sunita have left? And there's our keyword. How many were left? We're assuming that some were lost somewhere along the way. So let's read it again. Sunita was having a birthday party. She bought 12 balloons. We're circling 12 balloons. She bought 12 balloons. So that makes sure I have a good look at that and zoom into that. Then her dad came home and he had 9 more balloons. Okay, so I'm going to draw this now, guys. This is just help you often drawing a problem, even if it's just a picture of the problem, just to get your mind looking at it as a picture is always often a help, because we are always visual learners as children most of the time. So I'm going to draw as quickly as I can 12 really wonky balloons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, now I'm going to do Dad's balloons in a different color. So Dad bought, this are all the balloons that you're going to look at home. They're going to be all floating around one of the rooms in the house. So here we have 9 of Dad's balloons. 2, I'm going to go as quickly as I can. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Look at all those balloons for her party. Looks like a lot of fun. Now, but what happened? Okay, so there's our other number that we're going to highlight, and popped means they were no more. Right, so let's take 9 off. So 1, not 9, 5. My apologies. 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we can count how many are left. So 12 plus 9 is 21. Right, so 12 plus 9 is 21. I'm going to actually write that down. 12 plus 9 equals 21. But I also lost 5, didn't I? That's very sad. So let's count now. How many have I got left? Let's count my green ones. First, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So 16 balloons left at the end. Need to use a pen. 16 balloons were left. It's a bit of a mess on that page, but I just don't have enough space, obviously. So drawing it can often be a help as well, grade 3s. Even if you do something like this, if you for instance, draw a circle and you've got your 12 balloons in there, and then you've got your 9 balloons from Dad there, and then you can take away 5 from here, which means you end up with 4, and then that's your answer. Another way to try and simplify the problem that you're doing, if you've got quite big numbers, is actually to take smaller numbers and put them in their place. So I'm going to read you the word problem, and then I'm going to show you what I want you to do. So again, read the question. What do you know and what do you still need to find out? If your numbers are too big or confusing, replace them with smaller numbers and it'll just be like a light going on in your head. Okay, so Jethro earns 135 Rand a month washing cars. If he needs a total of 365 Rand to buy a skateboard, excuse me, then how much more must he earn? Excuse me. So let's have a look, and I'm going to go, oh my goodness, I don't know. Do I add it? Do I subtract it? What's the total cost of the skateboard? I don't know. Let's pretend we don't know. So I'm going to then circle these numbers, because it's very important, girls and boys, that when you replace the numbers in these areas here that I've left out, I've left the numbers out, the exact same word problem, but I've left the numbers out. You must remember that if this number here is smaller than this number, then this number here must be smaller than this number. You can't just put any old number in there. Have you got that? Let me repeat it. So if I'm going to replace these numbers with smaller numbers, I need to realize that this number is smaller than this number. So the one number put here must be smaller than the number here. And I'm just going to temporarily, replace these numbers with smaller ones. So let's add any number in. Jethro earns, let's say it's R6 a month washing cars. Well, that's quite sad, isn't it? If he needs a total of, now this number here, in this spot, must be bigger than this number. So I'm going to put 10 Rand here. If he needs a total of 10 Rand to buy a skateboard, how much more money must he earn? Now, immediately, you can see that Jethro earns R6 a month washing cars, but he needs 10 Rand. Okay? So you immediately can see that he needs 4 Rand. And you counted up from 6 to 10 to get 4. Or you said 10 take away 6 equals 4. Right? You said 10 take away 6 equals 4. And that, guys, was easy. You immediately, your mind and your head work together, your mind and your eyes work together to figure that one out. So now you know that when you go back to the one with bigger numbers in, you know that you say 365 minus 135, as you did here, will give you your answer. So you would do well to try that if you are sitting with a problem that has got the numbers are too big and it's just too difficult for you to think about. And then I want to encourage you to create your own problems. So, for instance, there's a word problem in front of you, and I've left the numbers out. So let's read it. Snoopy eats a certain amount of bones a week. Spotty eats a certain amount more than Snoopy every week, and Chester eats a certain amount of bones more than Spotty every week. How many bones do Spotty and Chester eat? Sometimes it's good to either, if you get a problem sum like this, to take the numbers out, remove the numbers, and then read it without the numbers, because then your numbers aren't confusing the meaning. You understand what I'm saying? So you are first understanding the words, and then you add the numbers in. So I'm going to add some numbers in. Let's assume that Snoopy eats 5 bones a week. Keep forgetting to put keep forgetting. Come on. 5 bones a week. Spotty eats, I'm going to just make it up. Spotty eats 10 more than Snoopy every week. And Chester eats 5 more than Spotty every week. How many bones do Spotty and Chester eat? All right, so here we know that Snoopy eats 5 bones. And we know that Spotty eats, I'm just going to move these over a little bit. We know that Spotty eats Spotty eats 10 more than Snoopy. It's a greedy little dog, that one, which means that Spotty eats, I'm going to start that again, guys. Let me just put these in the right spot. Right, let's do it again. Snoopy eats 5 bones a week. Spotty eats 10 more than Snoopy every week. So 5 plus 10 is 15. And then Chester eats 5 more than Spotty. So 15 plus 5 equals 20. And sometimes when you're practicing your word problems, you can actually write these out or print them out, leave the numbers out, and set yourself to put different numbers in for you to practice yourself. So there you go, grade 3s. We are at the end of our maths lesson today on word problems, and I will be touching on word problems every so often because I think we need to focus on them. I want you to then try using these little tips for when you have word problems and you're sitting on your own trying to figure them out. There is a worksheet for you to do, and there are some quite tricky ones because I wanted you to practice the different hints and tips to use when you're doing these problems. No good giving you very easy things when you don't have to use the advice that I've taught you. So grade 3, it was lovely to spend this lesson with you. Go and do the worksheet and mark it with the memo, and have a good day for the rest of the day. Goodbye.